Hey guys, here's that game I promised you yesterday against Panzer Elite. It's against a guy called, let me just check, Lega on Langres, obviously. I played this game immediately after the game I played. Oh my god, that was such a messed up sentence. I have no idea how I got to that. I wanted to say that I played this game immediately after the game that was posted yesterday. And this was basically my last game of the evening the other day. I haven't played Company of Heroes since then. I'm just recording this now. Um, anyway, it's in Langra. It's against Panzer Elite, and if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I despise Panzer Elite from the bottom of my heart. Um, for a very long time, I didn't believe that I was experienced enough in this game to have the right to have an opinion about how well balanced or poorly balanced some factions are. And I always had a feeling that Panzer Elite was poorly balanced, that they were just so OP against everyone. Um, but I thought, I'm a noob, I don't have enough experience. Maybe when I become better at the game, I will be able to. Maybe I'll realize that I was wrong. Um, but it is my belief, after playing this game, that Panzer Elite is the most unnecessarily overpowered faction in the game. And I don't care what Dexon says and what DevM says and what AECOH and Pepsi and those guys say, who are the best players and commentators of all time. Panzer Elite is the most powerful faction in the game, and whichever map you play against them, and whichever faction you use, it doesn't matter if you're the US or if you're the Brits, you are at an immediate disadvantage. And there are basically two reasons for it. First of all, Panzer Elite have the greatest mobility out of any unit, and this is something I'm going to be commenting throughout this game, and I just want to announce it in advance. They can take the most territory the quickest, and they just move around the map quicker than anyone else. And this applies, first of all, to their vehicles, and secondly, it also applies to their infantry units, because their Panzer Grenadiers are just quicker at just walking around than the average engineer unit and then the average rifleman unit. The second reason Panzer Elite are overpowered, I believe, is because it's basically two reasons. One of them is the fact that they can field armor so very early in the game, but that's kind of the point of Panzer Elite, so I don't, honestly have a problem with it that much. The point of Panzer Elite is that you can field armored cars and scout cars within like 5 minutes. But the real reason they're so overpowered is because their infantry, people often say that it's a glass cannon, like their Panzer Grenadiers can deal a lot of damage, but they can also be killed easily. No, the fuck they can't. Panzer Grenadiers have comparatively more health in relation to the size of the squads than American infantrymen do. So what I want to say is that they have three-man squads, right? You can also have four-man squads, but they generally have three-man squads, and those three-man squads have more health per man than American six-man squads have per man. And this is something that we're going to see in this game. But anyway, speaking about mobility, which I mentioned earlier, so you see this guy already has three Kettenkrats. So for those of you who don't know, Kettenkrats can only be used for three things. The primary function is to do exactly this. It's to cap around the map, and also you can use them the way Americans would use a Jeep, and that is to recon, right? To scout. The second way you can use them is to block your enemy during an engagement, to literally block their physical movements. This is something that he's actually going to do during this game, and I'm going to show you how he does it. And the third way you can use it, I think they can spot mines. I think they can spot mines. Don't quote me on that, but I think they can. But as you can tell, very early in the game, he's very mobile, and he already capped a lot of territory, although I have to point out that this is... Oh no, it's connected. I wanted to say that it was disconnected, but it's actually connected. And this is a very good capping order, because although it seems like it's weird because there are some holes there, he actually all of this is connected. So this was the most efficient capping order I've seen in a while. But anyway, my guys managed to push him away from this spot here, and that's going to become very important. This is pretty much where most of the combat is going to be happening in this square here. It was a very weird game, I can tell you that in advance. But anyway, what you can do as Panzer Elite very early in the game is that you can cap with your Kettenkrad around, and that can pretty much screw up anything your opponent thought about doing. Now, the issue with 3 Kettenkrads, which you can tell that he has, is that you obviously sacrifice your actual Panzer Grenadier power. Because obviously the Kettenkrad doesn't come for free, it costs manpower. So if you want to get it, if you want to get if you want to get 3 Kettenkrads, which he now has ganging up on me basically, if you want to get 3 Kettenkrads, you can, but in order to do it, you have to spend a lot of manpower on them. And the downside is that you can only have one Panzer Grenadier squad out quickly. It's going to take you a lot of time to get other squads out fast enough. So yeah, but anyway, this is what they get you. You know, I already took one out right here, and what it gets you when you have multiple Kettenkrads is that you can cap around the map, and even if your enemy decaps something, you can just recap it within a minute. They're such a useful unit, and they're kind of a cheat code, honestly. I mean, not. There's hypermobile. Nobody. This is, by the way, the first time I'm ever seeing anyone use the 3 Kettenkrad strategy. I've never seen that in my life. This is the first time I'm seeing it. But as I said, this is how you can use the Kettenkrad. Because you see, my guys are. I gave them. I issued them command to stand here because it's green cover, and when a Kettenkrad rams into you, it's going to bust you out of that cover. It's going to push you out. And this is how you can use Kettenkrad in combat, because the Kettenkrad itself does not have a weapon, so it cannot hurt you. It can't run you over, it can't shoot you, but it can push you out of cover. And that's pretty much what he's doing with this Kettenkrad. He's just trying to disrupt the place where my guys are standing. And as you can see, he's doing it successfully. Because this movement right here, everything these guys did, that was not on purpose. That was forced movement by the Kettenkrad. And he might lose this one. I don't know if he will. These guys activated a trap, but I heard it and I removed them on time. Now, this is something I want to point out. First of all, I'm super proud of myself because even though he started with 3 Kettenkrads, I recapped pretty much all the territory and super proud of that. But secondly, a few games ago on Sturzdorf, I believe, I criticized the player whose name I can't forget. I think it was Alex something. Because I dropped off-map artillery on him 3 times and he failed to retreat 3 times because he was focused on something else, right? And he didn't hear me activating off-map artillery, which you can hear. Even if you're not looking at the area where it's activated, you can hear. And the same thing happens with Panzer Grenadier traps. They can set traps, incendiary traps on their points. And if you go to cap that point like these guys did, you can activate a trap. And even if you're not looking at them as they're doing it, let's say that my screen is here, I can hear that a trap has been activated. And I know that my guys are only capturing 2 points. These engineers are capturing this here. These guys were capping this here. And as soon as I heard that trap activate, and you can also see the notification here says a booby trap has been triggered, I moved these guys away. What I didn't know was that the trap activation was actually here. And obviously, during the game when this happened, I knew that I had 2 units capping, and obviously my priority is to get the riflemen away from the trap, because the riflemen are worth more. Obviously, I can't remove both units from the to stop them from capping at the same time, so I had to choose one quickly, and I just moved the rifleman away. It turns out that this wasn't even trapped, but this. this is where the trap was. So yeah, so the principle is correct. It's just that I couldn't do it. And here you also believe just heard. If you didn't, you can rewind it. You just heard these riflemen activating this trap, and just as it happened, I noticed in the game. I mean, I noticed the armored car come out, so I just retreated them out of there because there was no point in them staying. But what I wanted to say is that you really have to listen out for traps. That's just what I wanted to say.
Engineers ready to roll.
And now he's going to try to push these guys away, and the armored car is very effective against infantry. This cannon up there is very effective. However, it can be destroyed, even with vanilla riflemen, without BARs, without stickies, without grenades. It can be destroyed with enough firepower. That armor is not invincible. But it can be a hassle to fight against it, especially in the early game. It can be really, really difficult to fight against it. He's gonna kill these engineers. I'm not gonna waste time covering that. I did not manage to react on time there, which is my bad. Trier Center. Trier centers are really important against Panzer Elite. And the reason for that is because the Panzer Grenadiers, they don't, they deliver so much damage that they take away your health of your men, obviously. They take it down so quickly and so much that your men are not going to be able to heal just by reinforcing. So you have to build a triage center early on. In my opinion, that's one of the most important things about playing against Panzer Elite. You need to build a triage center early on. You don't need to have it in the first 6 minutes. The way I did here. I'm not saying that that is necessary, but I would say that you need to build it within the first 15 minutes. You're not going to survive without it. And you're not going to see that happen in this game because I have an early triage center, but for example, if I didn't have this triage center right here, as Panzer Elite units would damage my units, at some point I would have 6 men after reinforcing, and those 6 men would, for example, have this much health. Like, they would have 25% health, even though they're 6 men. Because for some reason, the damage from Panzer Elite unit accumulates much quicker than the damage from Wehrmacht units. Or the damage from American units, for that matter. And you, for example, when you're playing against Wehrmacht, you generally don't need an early triage center. It's not that important. But when you play against Panzer Elite, you definitely want to go early triage center. It's absolutely necessary. And these guys are obviously going to get stickies to deal with these armored cars. I'm saying armored cars plural because another one is about to pop out, I believe. But anyway, that is now 2, I wanted to say Schwimmwagens. They're not Schwimmwagens, they're, what the hell is this thing called? Kettenkrad. Oh, I spoke about it already and I forgot about it. This is now 2 Kettenkrads dead. They only have another one, and you can see how much damage these armored cars are actually taking. So you, as I said, you can destroy them. I'm not going to say you can destroy them easily, but you can destroy them without stickies, without dedicated anti-armor weapons or units. You can destroy them with BARs or just M1 Garands alone. And now in retrospect that I'm looking at this game, grenades would have been more useful than stickies. Because if I threw a grenade right here, he would lose so many units. It would have been much better from an attritional standpoint. It would have been much better for me to have grenades than stickies, because in order to get a sticky off, you need to get close to the armored car, and the issue with that is that armored cars are super fast, generally, and they also have that ability, which costs, I think, 25 munitions. I'm not sure if he's going to use it in this game. But armored cars also have that ability where they can just speed up and drive super fast. like Vin Diesel, Fast and the Furious fast, and they're very difficult to get stickies off on. So your best bet against Panzer Elite armored cars is you can get them off now that they have damage engines and stuff, but your best bet against them. See, I heard that in real time when I was playing. I heard that I was here and I heard it and I immediately moved them away. You have to listen out when you're playing this game. Um, So your best bet against armor cars is an early M8 or even an M10. I mean, sure, obviously an anti-tank gun is going to destroy them too, but I feel that you need something more mobile, and the anti-tank gun has an arc of firing, and an armor car can pretty easily get out of that arc. Once again, this is a situation in which grenades would be useful, I believe. Yeah, and at this point I have to get out of there because this is a losing engagement for me now. But you know they've been damaged plenty, and also their Panzer Grenadiers received a lot of damage. And at this point, when I'm looking at the fuel situation, I just decided I'm gonna get an M8 out soon. Um,
Engineer squad under fire.
I need an M8, and the reason I also I don't know why he didn't cap. Did I decap this? Why is he only capping this victory point now? I mean, I never even approached this. He should have capped this by now. I don't know why it took him such a long time. But anyway, I'm setting up a shit ton of mines here because obviously I realize that at this point he wants this point and he's going to try to um cap it, and he's also going to push here with armored cars and Panzer Grenadiers. So I thought, you know, I had to set up at least 2 or 3 mines, and chances are he's going to activate one of them. But when it comes to territory, I believe that I was the better player in this game. The issue with Panzer Elite is, and this is something also, on another reason that I believe Panzer Elite is overpowered, is because they can do hell of a lot with very little territory. Because if you look at this right now, he has plus 15 fuel and plus 20 munitions, right? So he has plus 21 fuel and plus 21 munitions. That's all he has. And plus 269 manpower. That's his intake. With he has literally a quarter, maybe not even a quarter of the territory on the map, and he has plus 21 fuel, plus 21 munitions. Whereas I have all of this territory, and I have plus 32 fuel and plus 15 ammunition. So the difference in munitions is great, even though I haven't unlocked the off-map artillery option yet. But the difference is fuel is not that big when you consider that I have so much more of the map. I have these 2 fuel points, and still I don't have that much. Also this fuel point, and I don't have that big of a fuel intake. And when you take a look at his squads, what he has, he's still doing very well considering how little he actually has when in terms of resources. And that's something that the Panzer Elite can do. They can do hell of a lot with very little resources. Once again, I'm activating a trap here and I hear it, so immediately I move away. They're going to take some damage because I accidentally moved in the direction of the booby trap, not the opposite direction, but still. And I want to decap this because this is a strategic position for him because it connects this fuel point to his base. And you can just see the devastating effects of those guns on the armored cars. They shot at my guys for literally just a second, and I lost 2 guys in that one rifleman squad. And now what I'm doing here is that I want to prepare a small Divide et Impera strategy, and I want to have 2 squads fighting on one side and 2 squads on the other. So I don't want the cohesion between these units and these units, right? I want to isolate I either want to split them up in half, or I just want the armored cars dealing with two of my squads and everyone else dealing with the rest of my squads. And I also have this squad which has to reinforce and return to combat. The issue with this is, I don't think I did it right. And this is what I've been telling you about. These guys just absolutely devastated my guys. And all I did was I took 30% health from this single squad. And in that sense, the riflemen are just, the Panzer Grenadiers are just so overpowered that it doesn't make any sense. I understand that that they are like upgraded with the guns, but there were 12 of my guys and 12 of their guys, and their guys managed to kill 5 guys in a single squad and 2 in another squad, so they managed to kill 7 of my guys. And literally, I don't know if you realize how quickly it happened. You can just rewind if you haven't seen it, but I lost all of these guys in literally 3 or 4 seconds. And everything my guys did in the meantime is take some health from this squad. So it's just, I honestly think this is an unfair matchup. And obviously I lose both of these squads. And the reason I lost these squads was because I was staring at what was happening here. I was focused on this here, and I looked away, and literally just a few seconds later, all of these guys are dead. So if you want to see it, rewind now. But basically, I just lost this entire squad, these 2 squads, in less than 10 seconds. Even though the number of combatants from each side is the same. And even though I also have BARs. It's just, I mean, you're never gonna convince me that Panzer Elite infantry is a fair matchup against American infantry. I'm not gonna talk about British infantry because I never play Brits. I don't know what Brits are like. But you're not going to convince me that Panzer Elite infantry is a fair matchup against everyone else. Anyway, I turned on Fog of War, as you can tell here, because I wanted to show you the ability of Kettenkaratz to uncover mines. Because I set up 3 mines here, and he's gonna uncover all of them. So yeah, that's another ability that the Kettenkaratz has. So this is his first actual push, the first time in the game that he's felt comfortable enough and that he accumulated enough power to push forward. But I put off-map RT on him, and it's pretty much almost an immediate squad wipe. And as I said, this is something that I talked about when I played against Alex, but this is something that everyone needs to work on. Like, you need to listen out for that sound of artillery being thrown down on you, that shushing sound. Because when I throw down artillery on you, I throw down flares, right? And those flares make a sound. It's a shushing sound. It's like shh. And you need to, when you hear that thing, you need to get the hell away from there. I don't know where you are, but you need to evacuate as soon as possible, right? And he didn't do it. And I finally got my motor pool out. I'm gonna get my M8 soon. And my idea was, after getting this motor pool, I should get out artillery, because I noticed that he liked to blob. He was blobbing a lot. So this is exactly what he did. He would put like 6 or 7 units in a very small area. And this is something that I punished Alex for when we were playing. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do the same thing. You just heard the shushing, I believe. I hope you heard it over my voice, but the shushing was there. And I just thought, I'm gonna bid, and that's, by the way, 3 Kettenkaratz dead. Even though I have very few boots left on the ground. But I thought, you know what, I'm gonna build an artillery gun, and I'm gonna destroy him, because the next time he comes here, and he puts all of his units in this square here, I'm just gonna drop RT on him. And it's gonna deal a hell of a lot of damage. And he activated 1 mine. He has double Panzer grenadiers here. I don't know. I don't know why, honestly. I don't have any armor. Also, I'm not sure how he doesn't act, like how can he see these mines right now? Because the reason he's not activated them is because he can see them, and I don't know how he can see them. I'm not sure if these um, armored cars also have like an anti-mine ability or something, but yeah. Anyway, the M8 is out, and he has two Panzer squads, so he's figured, oh well, you know what, let's go destroy that M8. Which is reasonable enough thinking, but I immediately retreated and I need to have it fixed. The reason, if you might be wondering, why is the M8 retreating so fast is because he has a road speed bonus. So yeah. Anyway, talking more about my anti-Panzer Elite agenda. It's now almost 15 minutes into the game. This is the biggest amount of territory he's had so far. At one point he also had this. And this guy is still very much in the game. He's not losing. Even though he's been losing on victory points and territory the entire game, he has more units, and I would dare say more powerful units than me. Even though he had very, very little territory, and even though he's been receiving losses throughout the game. You're not going to convince me that this is a fair matchup. Like, Panzer Elite, as I said, I played Panzer Elite a few weeks ago. What happened was that I was playing auto match and I didn't check the little box that said I wanted to play as Americans only, and I matched against some guy who was as Americans, and I was playing as Panzer Elite, and I absolutely destroyed him. I was playing as Panzer Elite for the first or second time in my life, and I absolutely destroyed him. I beat him in like once again a squad wipe. He didn't listen out for the flares and he got a squad wipe and he dropped. And as I said, I was playing against this guy and I absolutely destroyed him, even though I have no business playing Panzer Elite. So yeah, that was pretty weird. Panzer Elite is just so overpowered. But yeah, he dropped, and my guys, I honestly think he was winning. I think he was one good push away from winning this, because he had 3 anti-armor units, which is more than enough to take care of this M8. And he had so many anti-infantry, and all I had was 1 M8 and 3 infantry units. I mean, okay, truth be told, I would get artillery soon, and just a single hit from the artillery could destroy everything here. That is true. And he was losing on victory points, but still, like, this is not a logical. I think he just got annoyed because he lost 2 units or even 3 to off-map RT. But anyway, I find it kind of, I don't know what the stutter there was. I find it kind of petulant, because like, you're playing with the most overpowered unit in the game. The way you played, the way he just blobbed everything up and just pushed it forward. Um, if you play like that with the Americans or Wehrmacht, you're going to lose. You cannot play this way, use this strategy with anything other than Panzer fucking Elite, and the reason you can do it is because it's the most ridiculously overpowered unit in the game, and honestly, I have zero respect for you if you play with this unit. But the fact that you're playing with the most overpowered unit in the game and you drop because you get angry with yourself for not retreating out of artillery fire 3 fucking times, that's just the epitome of like entitlement in Company of Heroes. Because if you were playing like this with Wehrmacht, the way he played here, this game would have been over 10 minutes ago. I'm just gonna say it. And now I didn't hear the booby trap. This one's on me. But yeah, at this point he lost already, and you know, I knew the game was over because he dropped, so I didn't bother with it. Also, the armored car can seemingly damage the M8. I did not know that. Um, so yeah, that's the end of the game. I don't know what to say honestly. Panzer Elite sucks. It should be taken out of the game. I hate it from the bottom of my heart. It's the fact that this guy played so poorly and he used zero strategy. There was no strategy here. All he did was group up and attack in a single front center in a single file, and he knew he would win most engagements, even though he didn't. But he thought he would win most engagements just because his units were more powerful than mine, and that's true. He has much more powerful units on the field than I do, and that's by design because the game made them like that. But the fact that he can play like that and win goes to show you how overpowered Panzer Elite is. Because if you play like this with Wehrmacht, or you play like this with Americans, you're going to lose. You cannot just shove everything in a single center and just have it out. You need to actually strategize a bit. So yeah, a game that I felt very proud of myself when I won, because like words cannot despise how much I hate Wehrmacht, how much I hate Panzer Elite. Like I have zero respect for you if you're playing with this faction. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for this game. I'll catch you guys on the next one.